What's up? I'm Daymond John. I'm a businessman. I'm the founder of FUBU The Collection. I'm an investor and a shark on ABC Shark Tank. I've been in business on a serious level for probably about 35 years. I thought it would be interesting to try to imagine my professional career as chapters of my life, with each chapter title acting as a reflection of the most important milestones that I've passed along the way. The first chapter of my career would be called Finding a Unique Passion as a Kid Entrepreneur. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but growing up in the neighborhood, it was always, people called it a hustle, but didn't stop me. I was selling pencils, I was finding bike parts all around, and I would put a bike together and sell the bike. As a young entrepreneur, there was no question in my mind that I would be a multi-millionaire, actually a gazillionaire. The sky's the limit. You couldn't tell me that I couldn't fly. Later on, life would teach me a couple of lessons that I would have to learn, that not everybody's gonna fly, especially me, if I don't get my act together. The second chapter of my career, I would definitely call Failing More Than Once. Before I had FUBU, I had 2 or 3 other businesses. One was a crash car business, the next was a van kind of livery service, the next one was selling super soakers on the beach, and I would fail. Even when I started FUBU, I closed it down 3 times from 89 to 92. I made a lot of money the first day of selling FUBU, and I remember driving home and hitting somebody in the rear end. I made $800 that day, and guess how much it cost to fix that guy's rear end? $800. Then I would run out of money again. And I'd start off with t-shirts. And I would buy the t-shirts for $30 and sell them for $25. That doesn't really work well when it's a business. I had failed so many times, but every single time that I failed, I realized what I needed. I realized that everybody watching today who was successful, they failed a bunch of times. I've always been somebody who have learned from my failures and understand that's part of the process. The third chapter would have to be founding FUBU. It was a time in my life when I was probably at the lowest. I was working in the business, not on the business. I was not making money. I was not happy where I was in life. I had decided not to go to college because I thought I was too cool. And I then realized that that was one of the worst decisions that I can ever make in my life, because the kids I laughed at that were going to college, they were coming back now from college. And they had jobs. And maybe that I was the dumbest person in the room. I took a break from this van business that I had, because I was working 20 hours a day, and I started to work back at Red Lobster because I just didn't want to take the work home with me. I just wanted to relax. And that's when I had time to think. That's when I had time to go out and think of this company called FUBU that I wanted to create to kind of unify a culture of people, a culture of kids, and kind of also earn my way and earn respect onto video sets or around the rappers and have a reason to be there. And I merged 2 things that I love the most. Always loved fashion, and I always loved hip hop. And I never realized that you can make money actually doing something you love. That I didn't have to work on somebody else's dream. I never looked back since then. Now, I could tell you the entire story. Actually, I am telling you the entire story on my Audible original named Founding FUBU. The 4th chapter of my career would be called Beyond FUBU. FUBU would hit such great awareness around the world. I had more money than I ever dreamed of. I would never have to work again. But what am I gonna do now? The ego part of me would say, well, keep FUBU as big as it can, keep moving forward with FUBU. But when you really look at the analytics, a fashion brand stays hot 5 to 7 years. And I had to look at what was my skill set, what was my quality, what did I gain over the 10 years of having FUBU out in the market. Well, I gained contacts, distribution, I had financing. Do I sit there and create something new myself, or do I find the next Daymond John and give them my resources and we collectively make money? But simultaneously at that time, I didn't know if I wanted to be purely in clothing. I maybe wanted to shift. I wanted to shift to educate other people, to show them that if they can watch a little brown dyslexic boy that had nothing, whose father left and got left back in school and never went to college, if he can make it, why can't you make it? So I started to educate people. In educating people, I got noticed by a lot of different type of people, not the people in the clothing industry. People will say, you have something of value that people need to know. I got an idea for you. I want you to come on the show. And that's why I love this chapter, because it's all about the pivot that all of us will face sooner or later. The fifth chapter, of course, is going to be becoming a shark. I had 10 clothing companies at the time and 8 of them were dead. Well, I wanted to take up more real estate in a big retailer. I got a call to go on to a show called Shark Tank by Mark Burnett. Now all of a sudden I become a shark and Shark Tank starts. I get to sit next to people like Mark Cuban, Barbara Corcoran, Kevin O'Leary, Robert, Lori, brilliant, brilliant people. I'm learning from these really great, amazing business people, but I'm also learning from these younger kids who are coming up and they're doing a business a whole new way. Shark Tank is something that inspires families because parents and kids could watch it together. Because kids, the next Oprah Winfrey or Steve Jobs could be in their underwear right now eating a bunch of Fruit Loops watching Shark Tank. Shark Tank absolutely changed my life, and I think more importantly, it gave me a public platform to show other people that they could do it. And I'm so happy to be part of it. The current chapter of my career that I am at right now, I would call finding my true passion. As I reflect over my life, I have to think about what is my passion today. I was faced with cancer and I beat it. And I think that finding my passion is to share with others that they can do it. I'm a firm believer in anything worth doing is worth overdoing. I wake up every day and I set my goals. Am I gonna leave my daughters an inheritance or a legacy? I'm not gonna leave them any money. I want people of color to say, you don't have to be a rapper. You don't have to have a skill like be a basketball player. You can just be a simple person and you can make it here if you apply yourself. Tomorrow's a new day. You can come from getting left back in school and not going to college. You can come from making a lot of mistakes and coming from bad neighborhoods, but tomorrow's a new day. None of that is going to be who you have to be tomorrow. If I can give people that insight, well, that's my passion. You know, when I pass, you know, I want my daughters to be able to say, this is who my father was. This is what he taught people. I want my wife to say, my husband tried to make me fall in love again and again and again, every day, every week. Anything worth doing is worth overdoing. And the Daymond John always tried to show people the challenging part of being an entrepreneur, the challenging part of life, and that it's not easy for anybody, but don't worry about it, you can still make it. I don't like to show everybody my sizzle reel. I like to show them my blooper reel. And that's where I am, and that is my passion. Thank you so much for watching. To learn more about my career, check out my Audible original, Founding FUBU. And make sure to subscribe to Audible's YouTube channel for more exciting videos.